I'm Jyotsna Dinakar Rao. The name Chandragiri is not my given name, it's Dinakar. Chandragiri happens to be the name of a place which is now in the state of Kerala, where my ancestors seem to have belonged. So I came to Austin in the year 1972 as a graduate student at the University of Texas in Austin. I'm a chemical engineer, and I will tell a little more about myself a little later after introducing my wife here. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I'm Jyotsna, his better half, as I would call myself now. But we were married in 1966, and he decided to come here after 5 years of our married life and take up studying for his chemical engineering. So we came here and been here ever since. But he was a student, so I couldn't work. But as time went on, I started working, got my green card, and I started working for Texas School for the Blind. And I worked there for 24 years. So that was a very good thing for me, and I enjoyed working there with the blind kids, which became part of me. So that's it. That's how we have been settled here for last 47 years. I think so. We have been here for 47 years and still living here. So that's it. When we were students, we stayed in a student housing on Austin Boulevard, and then Lake Austin Boulevard, yes. And then after that, we moved here after he graduated. We were asked to leave the apartments, of course, they're for students. And we moved here and we bought this house later on. So, and ever since we've been in this house. And enjoyed this house, surely.
Yeah, a little bit about myself. When I came to Austin, I was older than normal student, graduate student. I had worked in India for about 12 years in industry. Then I wasn't sure whether I can go back to school. But in any case, after I came here, I didn't find that very difficult. In one semester, I was okay. And as Jyotsna said, we were living in the married student housing on Lake Austin Boulevard, which was like living with the rest of the world, because all the other students who lived there came from various parts of the world. And we had neighbors from China, South America, and rest of USA and so on. It was a beautiful environment, and we would meet on weekends where neighbors would have music programs. Each one would bring whatever they played. Jyotsna had a sitar which she played, and the others had guitars, vocal and flute and whatnot. And it was a wonderful time. And as she said, when I graduated, I first took a master's degree. I didn't wish to continue into PhD, but after I finished it in 75, I was told to continue, and I continued until I got my PhD degree in 79. That's when we were thrown out of the married student housing and went into a rented place where there was a theft in 3 years. When we went to a rented place because we were not sure whether we would live in Austin or not. And then we found that we were, and then we took this house in 82, and we have been here ever since. So that's why about it.
Yeah, but when we were students, the Asian Music Circle asked us to help them out, and he was a part of it also. And we had all these great musicians like M.S. Subbulakshmi, Yamini Krishnamurti and all. And we being students, we couldn't host anybody, but I was in charge of cooking and taking care of them. So the great honor I had was to take care of M.S. Subbulakshmi, which I cannot forget her. Not only her smile, but her way she cared about her other musicians, you know, which I learned a lot from them. I was just maybe like 30 years old or something, but it really moved me because she would not eat anything before she fed the musicians. And we being students, we did not have even stainless steel plates or anything, and she kept on saying, if I had a big thali for them, because and we did not, but then we put 2 plates together and served all of them. But it was amazing what a wonderful person she was, because it was not important that she ate or anybody, but first came the musicians and her husband, and then she ate with us. That was a beautiful lesson, So she was there, then Yamini Krishnamurti, a lot of other Indian artists came, and then we started hosting them also when we got the house, especially when he started ICMCA with other 4 family members in Austin. And that was a little hard because nobody wants to be a member of classical music, So he started twisting everybody's arm to become members, and we didn't have any funding either, it was pretty difficult. But we managed everything, and now ICMC is doing so well, after 15 years we have we have other people taking care of it. Of course we help them out whenever they need, but they're doing a wonderful job. So we are glad we have done something like that with ICMCA, Indian Classical Music Circle of Austin. So that helps all the musicians to participate from all over,
What made you want to create ICMCA? What is your musical background? And
the thing is, when we were...
To give you some background, she mentioned about the Austin Music Circle. It was a student organization at UT in the 70s, and it was started because there was a lady by the name of Naomi Owens, whose husband was a professor in anthropology, and she had listened to a lot of Indian music, and she had a huge collection of Indian classical music, both South Indian and North Indian classical music, and she persuaded the Center for Asian Studies, which was a department which existed at that time, to offer a course called Appreciation of North Indian Classical Music. And I believe it was just appreciation of Indian classical music. And she taught that course. And since we were interested in classical music, and we had already hosted through the student organization called India Association, an artist called Nikhil Ghosh and his sons in '74, she called us to form that student organization, Asian Music Circle. And as a part of that circle, we not only got some musicians with the funding from the Center for Asian Studies, but also helped Asian Music Circle, Center for Asian Studies, to host musicians like M.S. Subbulakshmi, Yamini Krishnamurti, and several others. And it was much later in 1991 that the Indian Classical Music Circle was formed. And this was primarily because we had been doing this in the 70s and early 80s, and then there was a big gap. And some of the people like Vijay Mahajan and so on, Chandrakant Yagnik and so on, so we met in his house, that is Vijay Mahajan's house, and then decided that we will have this new organization. And that's when some of us went around, called people all around that we knew, arm twisted them into giving out some money. I think we got about 50 members when we could get our first concert. And we used to arrange concerts by sort of bootlegging. People would come to Dallas or Houston, and we will tell them, Austin is cheap and it's not too far, so why don't you come, we will host you and we'll give you whatever we can. And so a lot of initial artists came here, more as a sort of publicity, sort of for themselves and to help us.
Yeah, and then John Ailey from KLRU, he also helped us a lot.
Oh, John Ailey.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
We used to give press releases in KLRU and several other agencies, including Austin Chronicle and so on. And John Haley has interviewed a lot of artists prior to the concert. And that gave a lot of publicity because people used to come here saying, hey, we heard it on John Haley, on Eclecticos, that's why we are here. And so that did a lot of
work. So,
of course, in the last 10 years or so, he has grown much bigger, and it's almost impossible to get him to talk about Indian classical music. But he's very much interested. He is a musician himself.
As a matter of fact, one of the artists who is no more, he just passed away, Dhruba Ghosh. He was a sarangi player, and he has come and performed here. And John Haley always called and said, when he comes, please tell me. I just want to just listen and be with him because he played beautifully, you know. So things like that. He was so much into Indian music and more into meditative, and he enjoyed that, you know. So that helped us a lot, you know. That was wonderful. So
just as a matter of record, we used to, when we started the ICMCA in 1991, we started giving a folder, and I have a sample copy here, and it listed all the programs that we have got. Well, what I have is, I think, from a concert in 1995. I have not kept a record of everything. Whatever I could find, I have it. And it listed the members who were there, and the programs that we have had until that point, requesting people to come and encourage the organization. And the baton changed later, and I have several from, say, one from 98 and one from 2001, when the organizational committee changed, and they changed the format of those handouts. And these days, of course, the ICMCA doesn't give any handouts. But these handouts, which you will notice, gave good information. And a lot of UT music students used to attend these concerts and take that away because it had good information about the music, about the instruments, about the artists, and of course the general information about Indian culture and so on, which you will notice in there. Well, again, I said UT music students because when we started this, the ICMCA, which had no connection with UT, but we did talk with the Center for Asian Studies and so on, and persuaded them to give UT facilities for holding the concert, which they did for many years. And in between there was a gap, and I think they have started again. But that helped a great deal because it allowed the UT music students to come and be exposed to Indian music, which was a tremendous advantage. That was our mission. One of the missions of Asian Music Circle was, or the Indian Classical Music Circle was to propagate and popularize Indian classical music to people who do not know, to the Austin audiences. And UT music students was a very good sector that we addressed at that time.
When you say that you had UT helping you, what's the percentage of the audience that you had? Let me ask the full question. The audience you have, how many were the local population, how many Indians? And then has the audience now their perspective changed? Do you still see the same people coming, or do you see any new youngsters coming? And how do you think it has influenced Austin music scene?
Yeah, when we started this initially, our thrust was to popularize it on the UT campus. And then of course it went to the entire city through Austin Chronicle and John Haley's announcements and so on. And more than 50% of the audience was local,
from here,
non-Indians.
Yeah.
And we loved that. We liked it that way. I think there was a time when that percentage has, the non-Indian fraction has reduced. In today's concerts, I don't know how much it is because I have not been attending for quite some time. Jyotsna may be able to tell. But there is a certain number of Western audience who are very much interested in Indian classical music, and they do come, whatever be the nature of the concert. But the kind of ease of availability which made many people come in the past, that ease may not be existing at this present time. Again, I may be wrong.
Yeah, but and we do have we have like 30%, maybe 30-35% local people coming, and the rest will be Indians now, because the Indian population has grown so much. We didn't have that much population before, but now it is like we don't know most of them here. So, but we do have a big group coming, and also we have got all this fundings from other people, so that helps us a lot. I mean, helps ICMC a lot to put them up and get, set them up. They don't have to put them in anybody's houses and stuff like that. But that was not the case with us. We had to literally make sure that there was money to pay them, it was not so easy. So that has helped, and I think that is helping ICMC a lot because of the funds.
And can you tell me a little bit about your career path, both of you, after you did your PhD, where all did you work? And then when you came here, did you already have a degree?
Yeah.
And did you have to get a special degree to do your blind school work? And if you could talk about that, and how did the university help you, or did you get grants, or how did all that happen?
I am a chemical engineer, and I graduated with that degree. And when I graduated, most luckily, there was an opening for an engineer in an agency called TENRAC, which was a state agency. It was Texas Energy and Natural Resources Advisory Council, which was headed by the governor, lieutenant governor, and all the big officials of the government. And I was taken in there as in charge of technology development, and I worked there for about 3 years. And then during one of the sunset reviews, which is a review by the legislature whether an agency should continue or not, that agency was terminated by the Texas legislature in '83. Then I joined the Texas Department of Health in their Bureau of Radiation Control and worked there until I retired in 1999. And of course, the agency, the Bureau of Radiation Control, moved from the Texas Department of Health to what is now the Texas Department of Environmental Quality, its predecessor. And in 1999, I started teaching. In fact, I had started teaching at the university in '94 part-time in summers by taking permission from my employer, a course every summer. And I continued that up until 2008. And then when I retired, I started teaching full-time in the university as well as in the in the Austin Community College. I stopped teaching at the Austin Community College in 2013 December and at UT in 2008. And after that, I've been totally retired, sitting at home. Being an astronaut, I have been forced to do nothing but reading. And there is a huge collection of 40 years of books in my library, which is in my garage. And I had collected them with the idea of reading them someday. And I got an excellent opportunity to read them. And that's what I did. And that's what I am still doing, reading what I am interested in.
What are you into? What are you interested in?
What books?
Oh, I'm interested in what I read is mostly non-fiction, and I was interested. My interests have varied over the years. I read all about physics, the latest developments in physics, which I am still doing, and astronomy and mathematics and so on. And then essentially philosophy, Indian philosophy, the Advaita philosophy. And there have been books which I had collected long time ago, which I am reading and rereading them. Because I can glean a lot more when I reread them. And so I've been doing that. That's been my pastime.
He always reads a lot of philosophy books like I Am That by by Nisargadatta Maharaj. It's question answers, and of course I also read that a lot. But I also read question answers of Nisargadatta Maharaj's. But like Dinakar reads a lot of I Am That by Nisargadatta Maharaj. And
Nisargadatta Maharaj.
Nisargadatta Maharaj, and that is question answers. So it is like you can open any page and automatically feels like your questions are there, So answered.
Just
so,
to give an aside, Nisargadatta Maharaj was a saintly man who lived in Bombay and passed away in 1981. He was a beedi maker. He had a shop where he was selling beedis, and at some point in time he got self-illumination and self-realization, and he started talking to his customers, and then his customer base started coming to him for advice. And this book, which Jyotsna mentioned, was compiled by a Polish engineer called Morris Friedman, F-R-Y-D-M-A-N, and he was very much into Indian philosophy. He was with Ramana Maharshi and others. So he published that book. When he published that book, it was a book of question and answers. And a lot of questions were asked by Western visitors who came to see Nisargadatta Maharaj. And that publication of that book made him really famous and brought in more visitors from abroad.
So that is what I was trying to say, that the book, that is like one of the main, like a Bible, we can say. Most of the time we follow that and read it. And that helps a lot, But other than that, other books I allowed to read, but most of the time now is spent in taking care of things around the house, and I love doing pottery. So I started doing pottery, and now after a few years I thought that my stuff was getting quite a bit useful for the households. So I started selling, and first they were gifts, but now it has turned into selling it and sending the money to India to help children in need of who have cancer or something like that, or for there is a couple near Madras who are doctors, and they have set up their clinic in a tribal area near Madras, and they need money, so I send them. So that is how whatever I sell, all my money goes there, which I feel like I'm doing something for the for children. Somehow I like to help kids. I don't like to give to big organizations or something, because half the money is, I don't know where it's gone. So my brother helps me in distributing or taking care of it, to give it to the right people. So that is my pastime. So most of the stuff is spent in doing that also.
So can you tell me a little bit about your education and how your career, please?
In India I did my bachelor's, and I came here.
Bachelor's in what?
In bachelor's in psychology and sociology in Nagpur, and from there I came to got married, of course. And when I came here, I didn't know that I would be working or what was in store for me. But then when I joined Texas School for the Blind, they needed to need to take some special courses where they were supporting me in getting that. So then I had to do some coursework which was related to the blind school. It was not like something away from that. And that helped me to supervise and be in charge of the dorms, where we teach the kids right from the day when they wake up to the time they go to bed. And there are kids from the age of 5 and 6, and they stay there, and so happens that they become a part of you, you know, you become so much attached to them. So then I was in charge of 2-3 dorms, and teaching the staff also how to teach the kids, which is like handover, you know, you cannot just talk to them. They are mentally, then we got kids that were mentally retarded also. First we got just blind kids, and then we tried to mainstream them. So we had to go to schools, regular schools, and teach them what it is to be with blind kids. Because I should say this, but children can be really mean to them, and they have been, and some of them I had to handle it myself by putting blindfolds on them and teaching them how it is to be blind. Because we children don't know that when you're with the blind kids, they think it's like a nice pastime to tease them and tease them, you know, and make them fall or whatever, you know, and they have a laugh at it. So that is when I would step in, and also if they're not in the same class, if I would see them in the passing by, I would put blindfolders and make them do small chores, and then they would know how difficult it is not being able to see, you know. And some of them, it really helped. The principal would be shocked that I'm doing that, but then slowly understood what my cause was. It's no use just telling them, you know, oh, they're blind and all. I would just take them to the side, put you know, those blindfolders, and they would be scared what I'm doing, but then I would just tell them, take a cane and start walking and just see how you can do that, you know. And that helped them know what it is to be blind, because it is very difficult, you know, for youngsters to understand. So that was our main goal, so we could mainstream these kids to the regular school. So later on in the school we got handicapped kids, mentally handicapped as well as blind, and that was like a challenge for me to teach them, you know. So we had to do coursework on that too. We had to do sign language, as well as we had to do teaching for the blind, you know, like it was not like just sign language. We had to do it in our hands, you know, to teach them. They're blind, they can't see us. So
when you say in their hands, to
draw
make them,
yeah.
Can you say that?
Yeah. So
and also, did you have to do braille and that kind
braille,
of thing?
yeah.
Please tell me all that.
First I had to do braille, but that was of no use to these children because they were mentally handicapped too. So we had to teach them how to and come up with new ideas to put that into practice. Like if it's a cup of glass of water, we would do a shape of the glass and show them how it is, and then show them how it, when you drink, what happens. I mean, literally like hand over hand, you know, and then make them independent, teaching them how to eat with fork and knife. I mean, day to day, like dressing, bathing, I mean everything, you know, like when they're 6 years old, like teaching them daily living skills, which is called daily living skills. So I had to teach my staff, whom I had like, in each dorm I had like 10, 15 of them, so I had 3 of them, and then each student, how it relates to them. So making, you know, like a full of writing it down and going hand over hand with them and showing them. So it is like teaching the staff also how to deal with them, you know. So that was my job. So you get really, you know, close to them. And you know,
these courses that she took when she was at the School for the Blind were taught in-house by faculty from the University of Texas, School of Education. And these were specialists in special education who came and taught them.
And that was really helpful to us, you know. So that helped me to become supervisor, you know, some of the areas in the dorms. So that first was manager, then supervising 3 dorms together, and then of course I had higher superintendent and the supervisors. So.
Great. Can you tell both of you tell, I think you told about your family and where you lived, right? No? Yeah. And could you tell us a little bit about your background and what were your parents doing? How were you encouraged as a girl in India? You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. First and foremost, my father was working for a cement factory, so he had a transferable job. So he had to go from one company to the other, so setting it up. And so we as children were staying with relatives. Like I would stay with my grandparents and my aunts and all, and go to school in Bombay. And I studied there till 8th standard in Bombay, and then my brother was there. So both my brother and my younger brother, we were put in boarding schools. And from boarding schools, he was in Hyderabad and I was in Jaipur. And we were there for I was in Jaipur for just 1 year. And then I could not cope up with that, learning everything in Hindi, because I had my medium of instruction was English. So I had to change it into Hindi, which was very difficult. Somehow I passed 9th standard, and then I went to Nagpur, where I was in Bishop Cotton, where we both were together in the boarding school, my brother and me. And then I have a sister, she was also moved there. So we all three were in the boarding schools, and I did my high school there, and then went to college there too, in Hislop College in Nagpur. And after that, my father was transferred to Bombay. So we all moved to Bombay, and fortunately we were all together in Bombay with our parents. So that is when, and then in 1966, I was married to this wonderful guy. So, and now we are married for 53 years, or 52 years rather.
I lose count.
Huh? You lose count, yeah. and
when we came to Austin, I came in 72, she came in 73. Our firstborn daughter was 4.5 years old.
Yeah.
And our second daughter was born in 74. And both the daughters live in USA now. One is in Austin, one is in Portland, Oregon.
Yeah. So they're here, and
what were they educated as, and what how did you encourage them to be part of this community, and was there any discrimination when they were going to school, and a little bit of it.
So when as a matter of fact, I should tell you this, that when we were students, the local people were here so nice and very friendly that they made us a part of their day-to-day life, I mean, treated us so well. Wherever we went, we were always welcomed. It was never like, we are from India or anything. They always were wanting to know how we live, what we do, and a lot of our neighbors all learned how to do cooking also, from me. And they would do for upma and dosa and stuff like that. And they enjoyed doing that. Katie, we are all those friends, So it was really wonderful to have such a nice group of friends. And as time went on, I found that Central Market had just started in 1990, and they were looking for people to teach cooking. So I went there and asked them, and they were very encouraging, and that's when I started teaching cooking there too. I taught them for a year. It was once a month for 4-5 hours. But it took a lot of time. That time I was working also in Texas School for the Blind, but Mondays was my off day, so I could go and teach there. So that was a good point, because people were surprised that we don't use cream all the time, and our cooking is so simple and so tasty, that they could not believe it. Then later on also, according to the cooking, I started teaching in my kitchen sometimes, because there were some Indians who had come from India, had never done any cooking, or knew even to do a cup of coffee or tea. So they called me. So we said, okay, we can do some simple cooking, So we had those 2 sessions at my house. So that helps, because I loved cooking also. So that was a part of my kids. As a matter of fact, the older one did her education in being a teacher.
Special
education, and she did. She taught for a year or so, but she was married at the age of 19, the boy was here and he started liking my daughter and, asked for her, and he's a Konkani from our community. And that was we didn't even think of that, and a lot of students used to come because we being here a family, a lot of people would ask us, can they come and stay with you or can you help them out? And we would always welcome students and they would stay with us till they settle down in an apartment or something, or settle them down. So that we did a lot because we loved helping, they're new to this place, why not, So that's how we came to know all these students. Then the first one got married, then she still continued and finished her education. And later on, the younger one, she was just 16, 17, and she met this boy who was doing PhD at the university here again. And
another
Konkani from the same community. And he came and talked to me, and also my daughter, both had decided that they would like to settle down. So we said, okay, but she has to finish her education. That is number one. That was the same thing we told the older daughter and my would-be son-in-law. And he said, yes, she can study whatever she wants, So both my son-in-laws were ready to please me as we wanted. The main thing is that education was number one, So, but we got them married in India. Both of them got married in India. But we had a reception here, and that time we didn't have Indian restaurants here. So I did the cooking and we had all the food from home, like 200-300 people. But that was really good,
and some food brought from Houston.
Houston, like tandoori chicken, yeah.
Tandoori chicken, a friend of ours who was attending brought tandoori chicken.
Yeah, but other stuff was cooked here. So that is how that happened. So both girls got married and now they're all settled, especially the younger one who did nursing. And she loves to study all the time. So she wanted to be a doctor, but then she got, because they were in Portland for last 21 years, when she got the admission for being a doctor, it was not in Oregon, it was somewhere in Houston and some other places. And being away from her husband for 5-6 years was too much. So I'm glad she decided against it, and she went for MPH in Emory's school in Atlanta.
Master of Public Health.
Master of Public Health. And she did that. And then she started nursing, learned nursing also. And she went to Portland and was working there. In the meantime, when she did MPH, she went to Africa for 6 weeks and worked there in small villages. That was her international course she did. So she had to go somewhere, she chose Africa. And now she's going to do her PhD. She has 3 children and she's got admission in UT here and going to do nursing. And she also got a scholarship, so she is really, looks like she's
Great.
doing really good, yeah.
Sir.
Hi, my name is Riyad Hoskotin and I'm making a dragon from the TV show How to Make Your Dragon.
Why are you doing it here?
Because this is where my grandma has autographs.
You like to make it with the clay, right? That's what you came up with. Idea.
So tell me what this is.
Sure.
It's a dragon, a type of dragon called a whiplash. And so they have really sharp tails, but I'm not done with the tail yet. And they have like leaves on their body. And
It's going to be like this. Something like
Ooh. Awesome. Awesome.
this. So that is what he is working on.
And how much of a help did you help him draw it, or?
No, he saw the picture and he came up with this idea. And then, of course, I helped him to put together because it's clay, right? I've not done before. And he did most of it, like putting this, all these
Scales.
leaves. It's
Oh.
like leaves, you know, like scales or leaves, we call it. It's like that. And then it is all the way down to the, she has to still do the wings and all. So it's good. It is a pretty intricate thing he's chosen. But he'll do it slowly but surely, right?
And what about you? Ooh, look at that! Look at that!
my name is Shaunak and I'm making a dragon from How to Train Your Dragon, just like he is.
What dragon is this one?
It's a night fury.
Okay.
So it's all black, and on the wing, on the tail, it's gonna be red, and here it's gonna be red.
Awesome. Okay. So
So these are the same thing. So I made this first, and then at home I drew this, just like
Awesome.
the other one. And I
Awesome.
colored it with colored pencils.
great.
We'll put it together, okay? We'll put it together. And you'll show your drawing?
Yeah. Take it.
Oh.
So I made different types.
All these dragons.
Oh, so cute. Chili Willy, we used to have a cartoon character.
Oh, that's
Awesome.
nice.
Awesome.
And then my favorite one is this one,
This bird, wow, that's come out
Why
so
is
nice.
that favorite?
because I just like it. It looks
Okay.
most like
Does it have a name?
no.
No? Are you going to name it?
That's a cute one.
Well, I have been often asked why I chose to come here at a late stage in life. The simple reason is that when I graduated, my entire education was in Karnataka. I graduated from Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore, and even at that time I wanted to go abroad, but I couldn't. So I worked for 13 years in industry, most of it in Delhi and Rajasthan. And when I left my first job with DCM complex, their chemical complex in Rajasthan, after 11 years, I had a tidy sum of money, and I didn't know it was too small to invest in something, and it was going very fast if I didn't do anything. So I thought the best way is to invest it in education, which I always had in the back of my mind. So I went to the USAFE, which is United States Education Foundation of India in India, and asked for information about universities. I got a list and applied to 6 universities, and I got admission in 3 of them. And I chose Austin because it was the cheapest of them for their ranking. And it was only after coming here that I realized that it was ranked pretty high, higher than I had expected. And after I came here, I fell in love with Austin. It was small. There were only about 75 Indians when we came here in 1972. And many of them were connected with the university, and then they were graduate students or faculty. And there were only, I think, 2 or 3 families outside who were working for the state government. And it was in the 80s that the Indian population increased here, with IBM coming to Austin in a big way, and many other companies moving in the 80s and 90s. And then, of course, the influx has not abated, it's still going on. And so the town at that time, Rundburg was probably just outside the limit of Austin at that time. Mupag was still under construction, and the bridge was not there. The bridge over the river was not there. They were all constructed later. And so it was a small town, and as she said, the atmosphere was really nice. And the first Indian thing that came was an Indian store called MGM on Lamar near Rundburg. And then there was an Indian restaurant which was opened on Altdorf by a company which had a restaurant in San Antonio. It caught fire and it got burnt out. And the first real continuing Indian restaurant was Taj on Middle School Road. Yeah. And that's been going strong, right? It's still going strong. We like that restaurant. Now there is a mushrooming of both Indian restaurants as well as grocery stores.
Yeah, everywhere.
And a lot of mushrooming of everything, temples and also all kinds of things. Yeah.
Do you welcome it, or do you have the yearning for the old?
Neither.
Can you answer it?
It's the nature of things.
Can you
It's
answer it as a sentence, please? Because yeah.
It is the nature of things.
No.
Do you miss the old ways, or do you like what's happening today? That if you could put it in a sentence and add it,
Okay.
please.
Change is inevitable, and we like the old way. We enjoyed it when it was there, but I wouldn't say I was welcoming change, but it's inevitable. So take what we get.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have no criticism of it. Yeah.
He's always been like that. He never not only criticizes, but he takes whatever comes his way, and he stays down to now, like what is happening. He never looks at the past or future or whatever. He just goes as it comes. That is his nature. So that's why everybody who comes here, all the musicians included, they all very fond of him. They respect him. They like the way he talks to them, or he never puts himself ahead of anybody or always in the background. Even in ICMCA, he did all the work, but he never wanted to be like number one there to do anything in front of, always back behind the scenes. That's his nature. So
That's nice.
that is the way he is, So
What about your nature?
my nature, I follow him, and I like to entertain people, and I love to cook. So, like people say, oh, why did you do that? And I love to cook and try new things, because we never got coconut here when we came. We didn't have so many things, and I tried to substitute and make different things with vegetables, and it became a hit. So that became an in thing for me, like doing chutneys and stuff like that. But I still do a lot of stuff at home. I don't go out and buy like chutney puris or anything. I make at home. Everything is done at home, and I love to share with people. So I always give it out to people, and they enjoy it too. Because it's like a family for me. They're a big family for us. We all are together. Always try to.
I've been telling her to dictate to me her new recipes, because that's a great thing that she has done, substituting whatever is available here for authentic Indian food. Now, of course, you get authentic Indian spices and everything
Yeah, we didn't
in
get
the
that,
stores,
yeah.
but it is possible to do all those things with substituted materials and get the same kind of taste. And she was doing that, and she is a great cook. And one of the things I usually say is she is such a good cook that I have carefully nurtured and developed a reputation as a bad cook, so that I don't have to cook at all.
That's a good one. Can you tell me, staying in the hostel,
Yeah. In boarding schools.
in boarding schools, how did it shape your personality and your strength and character?
Yeah.
That's what I.
The thing is, one thing.
Can you answer the same?
Yes.
In the same way.
In the boarding schools, when I was in the boarding schools, the thing I learned was, one thing is to be more adaptable to everything around you. Don't make too many judgments, and don't have like, I want this, I don't get this, I'm not happy with it. I mean, we have to accept what we have. That's what I learned there, and that has helped me all my life. I mean, many times we say that, oh, I don't like this, I can't handle this, I can't eat this. I mean, try to like things and try to adapt things. That is what I learned in my hostel. Because when people did that, I would feel bad, or we shouldn't be so opinionated with every little thing. Life is not going to come the way we want every time. We have to adjust also. That's what I learned from being in the hostel. That was very important lesson for me. And my mother also always did that. I think I learned a lot from my mother also, and my aunts, who were they were like my parents to me when I was growing up. But this I learned from the hostel, where adaptability is very, very important, you know. So that is what number one, you know, which is
That's,
important.
I learned that lesson in a different way. When I grew up with various relatives. 3 years at one uncle and 4 years at another uncle and 4 years at another aunt and so on. So I had to learn the lesson of adaptability because of that.
What about your teachers? Do you remember anybody?
Oh, yeah.
Teachers.
Oh yes, I remember some teachers whom I can never forget. In my high school in Chikmagalur, there was an English teacher. I cannot forget him in high school. And one Jyotsna Rao. And then there was again an English teacher who taught Shakespeare in the intermediate class. I cannot forget. And then in my BSc class, a Kannada teacher called G.P. Rajaratnam, who was a well-known scholar and also a writer. And he was my lecturer, and I loved having him in the class. So these are some of the impressions which I can never forget. There are some of these teachers.
What about the teacher who danced and showed you
Oh, the U.S. Krishna Rao, who is a well-known Bharatanatyam dancer.
Bharatanatyam dance?
I always claim that I learned from him, but not dance. He was a chemistry professor in Central College, Bangalore. So I took a course from him in chemistry. So
He would ask you to.
yeah, he was the instance that Jyotsna is telling me to narrate is he was once giving a lecture on Indian dance in the college, in Central College, Bangalore. And in the end, when the talk was ending, he said, dance is a language and you can show anything. You can say, I will put a challenge, you can say anything, I will show it in dance. And one of the members of the audience narrated a poem by Wordsworth about sunset, and he showed it in dance. And that was a dramatic expression of dance. It was great. Extempore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things like that. Some of the teachers you always remember, you know, so it's really difficult. For me also, because we were in the boarding school, we had some teachers like Mr. Ghadge and Saraf. They were just amazing. And one was Mrs. Santiago. She was just amazing, you know. Always took care of us, especially. She would take me to her house, and if I had some difficulty, she would try to help me out. And she was great, you know. When I was young, I used to play hockey for my school. So when if I fell and hurt or something, she would always be there to take care of me, you know. So things like that, you know. So it was wonderful, especially playing for the school. I think you get special privileges. They pay attention to you more. So that was nice. So I always loved sports. So that was one of them.
What was your favorite, most prized possession as a child? Was precious to you, something that you had?
Which I like to.
Yeah.
There were
Nothing
few
you can
things.
feel.
Yeah, but the main thing was my father's. He used to recite some stuff and write it down, and that's what I love to keep. And he used to draw a lot. So his sketches, I used to always keep, because he would, anywhere you would be there, he would draw a sketch and, you know, keep. And he was more of also became like a philosopher and teach. But this was like his passion of drawing. So that's what I liked, and painting also. You know, I think I learned that from him. So it was mine.
I didn't have the opportunity that she had because when I was growing up, I was in various places with the various relatives, and so I could not develop long-standing relationships. So like I cannot say I have a classmate from primary school or elementary school or middle school or high school or anybody. So sometimes I feel when I see other people talking of old memories, old lovely things and so on, I feel that I met a lot, but well, that's life.
Do you have a favorite radio program or a pet?
Uh, I used to like the national program of music, which we used to come every Saturday
Exactly.
evening
Yeah.
for 1 hour, and I used to love that. I loved classical music.
Yeah, always. Yeah.
Although I used to listen to various other people who liked Vivid Bharati and Radio Ceylon, so you couldn't avoid it. You had to listen to it, and of course I loved it. Some of the songs and so on. In the old days, a lot of film music was based on Indian classical ragas, and it had a beauty of its own. These days, of course, it's too fast and it somehow doesn't appeal to me as much as these old songs did.
Yeah.
And what is the food that what's your favorite food that Jyotsna cooks? And what do you like cooking?
Well, about food, I like everything that she cooks. And not only that, I like everything from anywhere, any restaurant I can go to. I'm a vegetarian. I don't even take eggs. I'm a vegetarian by taste, not by any religious conviction. And so, if there is something that tastes good, I deserve to eat it. But I have found that non-vegetarian didn't appeal to me because I was brought up a vegetarian throughout my life. That may be the reason. And she makes excellent food, I like it. And I like any food from anywhere, any kind of food. I can even go to a steakhouse and enjoy baked potato and coleslaw and sweet corn.
But what's the food that she cooks that's favorite?
Again, there is no single favorite. I like all of them.
One.
Dal.
Plain
That comes
dal.
to mind. I don't mind eating the dal that she cooks every day for the rest of my life.
That's nice.
Yes,
What do you like cooking? And
I like to try new things, especially like I make lots of different kinds of breads, and when I find that people cannot eat wheat or something like that, I make my own breads, with almond powder and all these different things, and that has helped my friends, they really, because they can't eat wheat or they can't
Gluten-free
and all that. Then I make different kinds of ice creams without milk, and now we find all this coming out here too, but I've always tried to make with vegetables and fruits. I made ice creams with all those things like I use coconut milk, or I used to blend coconut and use that to give it a creamy thing because people can't have milk, so, and then with avocado ice creams and fruits we do make, but I've started making it with avocado and figs and ginger, and people have enjoyed that too, Of course, I put a lot of nuts also in that, almonds and pecans. It depends how it tastes, varies, but I like to do that. So
She has a gluten-free and vegan version of everything.
I just try it
Everything
out.
she cooks.
Some people ask me, what is the recipe? And to be honest with you, there's no recipe as that. I just use my hand and I do that. Now people have started telling me, at least give us some idea. So now I started measuring, okay, this may be 1 cup. So people do need measurements for everything. So I make bread without flour or anything, but with nuts and fruits, and the bread has turned out good. So people love it. So they said this is better than eating the regular bread. You eat 1 slice and you're full. So things like that. So I love to cook and try things, different. And then he's my guinea pig. I always try. I make anything. I say try it. So he gives me.
Awesome.
Do you travel any world events that have impacted you in your life?
Yeah, we traveled. A friend of ours, Savita Reddy, who also lives in Austin, she and her son are great organizers. So we started our travels
With them.
together, with 3 or 4 families together. First in 2000.
2000.
Year 2000. Then we went to the Rocky Mountaineer, Canadian Rockies.
Mhm.
Then we went to Alaska. Then we went to the Scandinavian capitals.
countries, yeah.
Then every 3 or 4 years, 4 years or so,
Yeah.
we went to Australia, Fiji, and New Zealand.
Then we went to St. Petersburg and stuff. We have,
Yeah.
we have gone with them, but after he got oxygen, we have stopped going
Yeah.
anywhere much.
we
Not,
we are limited.
Yeah.
Now, for example, earlier in July we went to
Sedona.
this year.
Yeah,
We
my
went to
daughter
Sedona
and
and
my
Lake
nephew.
Powell in Arizona.
Yeah.
Lake Powell is right on the border with Utah and Sedona for about a week.
Yeah, they took us because of the oxygen we had to take on.
The doctor has to approve and give me a certificate
Yeah.
for flying.
Yeah. We have very good doctors in Austin, so we don't want to leave Austin.
So if you want to say anything about Austin that people can hear and rejoice, what would it be? Why is Austin favorite for you?
We like Austin because we don't know any other place. That's not entirely true. We have seen Dallas and Houston, and in the old days when I graduated, being a chemical engineer, and Houston being a mecca for chemical engineers, I could find jobs there. But I somehow was not inclined to go to Houston. It was too large a city. Now, of course, Austin is approaching that. But I didn't want to go there, nor to Dallas. I liked Austin with its hilly terrain and the natural beauty. However, other people may view it as, for example, it may not be like the mountains of California or the hills of Northeast, Connecticut and so on. But Austin has its own beauty.
Yeah, Austin, even the people were nice. I mean,
Yeah,
when
we
we came
like
here,
the people.
people are really nice and friendly. But we can see the little change here now. People coming from out of the other places, and we can see the way that people are driving. That has changed. People are in a hurry to go somewhere all the time, and they try to cut through, and all this has changed a lot. But in general, people here are really very friendly. We go to New York and we find that people won't even say hi, or if you smile, they look at you like, hey, what are you smiling at?
Even in
Like that.
Houston.
In Houston it happens, but
Yeah.
now I've found a lot of people here which are changing. I find a lot of Indians. Even if you smile at them in the at ordinary grocery store, they think twice, should we smile or not? And then if something happens and we've helped them with something, then they come in terms and they start talking to you. Otherwise they don't, because somebody even asked me, are you new to this place? And I said, no. Are you staying with your daughter or something? I said, no. Then what are you doing here? And I said, we have been here for a long time. Oh, how long? I said, I don't think you were even born. What do you mean? I said, just 47 years. Oh, really? Oh, so but you're still wearing all this. And I said, does it matter? You be as you are, that is more important. And smiling and talking to people, that is what I miss when people we know. And especially, in the stores, if you just smile, you're going somewhere with your card and you just smile, they look at you like what is wrong with this woman,
That's not is that a major thing? Do you
That
find
also,
most of them?
that quite a lot of people are like that, but now I still smile back. What does it matter? It doesn't hurt, right? So that is one thing, and that needs, I think, to change, and I think people need to know that. After all, they're people.
Well, in contrast, the local people smile. Always.
Yeah.
There is a ready smile.
Yeah, that is always,
Yeah.
yeah.
The Austrian citizens are always ready with their smile.
We can see the change, when the people are from outside and the people who are residing here, we can see the change, Many people who have come from outside, they say, my God, people are so friendly. They are not like this here. They have come from Canada, whatever, they're not like that. So we can see that.
Great. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to this is for the, let me turn it off.